Hi, it's Dr. Parikh, and right now we're going to do an article sort. It's described, so when do you do the article sort? You do it after all of your article notes are done and before you do your concept map, because it helps you figure out what your concepts are going to be. So I have, so here's my article notes. I just took the one that's the template and I took away all the places where I explained things. So you print this out, print it out single-sided. Again, I am not a big fan of wasting paper, but there's a time and a place to do all the paper. So you can see I have it printed out. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to run a highlighter down the side with a different color for each article. This is genius. One of my students came up with it when I did this in class. And the next thing you're going to do is actually, so this feels ridiculous, but my students were amazed how much it helps. So you're actually going to take your pair of scissors and cut it. So the first thing I would do is I would cut the place where you have the references, and I'm not doing very well with my mirror video. So you're going to do the references and the keywords, and I would cut those out on one so that that'll be kind of your key so that you know you remember which article it came from, and this keywords is like shorthand to, okay, what was that article really focused on? Because remember, those are your words that you made, and you can always jot down some more as you notice them. And so just then cut each part into strips, especially the literature review main findings, and then I've already cut into strips my findings from the paper. This is also why you already have citations on them, so that each one you know where it came from. What you're going to do for each strip of paper then, you're going to, what I would do, I would just mix them all up, because you want to the whole purpose of this activity is to break out of the habit of thinking about it as a related set of ideas, because you want to mix and match among your articles. And students have a really hard time not just describing one article at a time, which is what I call a serial book report. That is not what I'm looking for, and it's not going to get you many points. So mix them up so that you have, so that you're not looking at one set of article, all the points from one article at a time. And then read it very carefully and use a highlighter. You can use different highlighters for different key terms if you want, but figure out what the key ideas are and highlight them. And then once you've done that, for every strip of paper, you've kind of picked out what is this strip really saying. Now pick up each strip again and start trying to put them in piles. I recommend a nice big table. Maybe you'll do it on a bed or on your floor, but somewhere where you can really stretch out. And then you want to keep kind of sorting them, and periodically you can check to make sure your piles are diverse, because every article is a different color of highlighter. And so you can look to see, okay, I'm ending up with 3 piles that are all just one color, and you can say, all right, I need to start again. I need to think of a different way to break them up. And you can try different things. I'm going to sneeze in just a second. I'm sorry, that must have been the most boring part of a video you've ever seen. So you can try different ways to group them. I recommend then taking pictures of each group, especially if you're changing. You can also get some Scotch tape and just tape them together. You can tape them onto another paper. It might help to have some, like I have this whole extra sheet from the end of my, my second page of my article notes. I can just use that as scrap paper. It can help to write down the labels to help you track how you're dividing them. You might be dividing them based on different approaches to treatment. You might divide symptoms versus treatments. You might divide you might do a timeline. So you might look at older approaches versus newer approaches. You might do different populations. So how does knitting help children versus adults manage anxiety? There's a lot of different ways you can break it down, and you can look at the ways that your articles divide the headings and think about them for ideas too. So Again, students have found this activity to be incredibly helpful. Once you get your ideas organized, it's really about writing after this, which is not as hard as it seems because you're usually trying to organize and write at the same time. So this is a great place if you notice that you are just getting stuck over and over. You end up with piles that are all from one article. It's a great time to come into office hours. This is a great activity to do in person, but if needed, we can also do it online. We can open a Google Doc and just kind of move around strips from one place to another, just kind of copying and pasting. I highly, highly, highly recommend, I want you to do this activity like on actual pieces of dead trees for this class, but you can certainly do it electronically in the future. But I want to see it. I want you to do it because it sounds ridiculous, but it's like life-changing the first time you try it. I had several students who said, I've already used it in other classes by the end of the semester. Good luck with your article sort. It's actually really fun. It's always fun to kind of do arts and crafts instead of reading and writing and taking tests. And I'll see you soon.